What is going on, everyone? My name is Carlos and I have been gone for about a week, almost 2 weeks. And the reason I have been gone is because me and my buddy Daniel, we drove all the way to Florida in the Ioniq 5 that I own, and we went to the very first EV Expo Tour 2025. Apparently they do this every year, and this year they started off in Florida. I was like, all right, good enough for me, close enough. So we went all the way down there, pretty much explored what EV Expo is all about. I'll be honest, I did not know this was even a thing until I got like an ad from X, and then when I clicked on the ad, I was like, okay, this looks pretty cool. So I went ahead and signed up, bought a VIP pass and a dash pass. I would highly recommend doing the dash pass and not doing the VIP pass because you don't really get too many benefits. The biggest benefit you get is free snacks, water, and some like exclusive shade with nice bathrooms. But I mean, you can always bring your own water and snacks and then just deal with the bathroom, you know. Overall though, I had a really good time. I would absolutely do this again. No, I was not sponsored. I was not invited. I was not media. This was strictly me and my money. All right, now I'm gonna talk about all the different cars I test drove, specifically cars in this portion, and then I'll get into other things later. I do just want to mention that I test drove these cars for about like, I want to say around 10 minutes, maybe a little bit less. And it was just a quick, you get in line, you wait in line, and then when the car comes and somebody finished their turn, you literally get directly inside the car, and either the employee or salesperson is already going to be in the passenger seat, and they're just going to tell you either how to use the car, they'll talk to you about the company, or they stay quiet. It kind of depends on the employee. Some of them were just very quiet. So all of my opinions are based off this 10-minute little, test drive. So don't hunt me down. Like, this is literally just my, I guess, first impressions. They're not reviews, just my first impression. So let's go ahead and get started.
Holy shit. Oh man. Holy shit.
So the first test drive I did was with the Volvo EX30. It's a smaller compact SUV. Now, I'm not a huge Volvo guy. I don't know much about them, and I've never really driven inside a Volvo too many times in my life. But I was genuinely very, very impressed with all the quality inside and the cloth and the materials, and it felt really, really good. I don't know if I would say premium, but yeah, like in a weird way, it's like premium but recycled. I don't know. It just felt really, really good, and I really like the design of their cars. I like the design of the interior. It was a very much a good first impression, and I really enjoyed the EX30. And I believe their infotainment center was based on Google's like Auto Android. I'm pretty sure it's based off that because a lot of it was Google. It was really nice. It was really smooth. I did enjoy it. Definitely a million times better than what we have in the Ioniq 5s. So I really had like a really good first impression. The car itself was a little bit on the smaller side, but I knew this looking into it, and that's specifically what I chose because I was just curious about how I would fit in the drive and everything like that. And again, first impressions, really good. It was really smooth. I really enjoyed the materials, the interior, and I really don't have anything really negative to say. It was a really, really solid car. I really did enjoy driving that. It kind of reminded me of the Kona Electric a little bit. I've never ridden in a Kona Electric, but the size of it kind of reminded me of the Kona Electric. Really good first, that was my first test drive and had a good time. First impressions on the Mach-E, it really reminded me of the Ioniq 5. The one positive I will say is I like the driver infotainment. Like, it's just a tiny like screen with your essentials, and I like that way more than most cars, including my Ioniq 5. It's just so clean, and visually, like, that's all you really need when you're driving. So I really do like the infotainment on the driver's side. And as far as like the actual infotainment, in the middle, that's fine. I like that it's a wheel, so you can turn up and turn down the volume. Overall, Mach-E, I mean, pretty solid car. Again, it really did feel like an Ioniq 5. I didn't feel any like humongous difference. It really felt like I was just driving my car. Then comes the Ford F-150 Lightning, and that thing was a beast. That thing was ginormous, and it had all the buttons, it had all the cleverness. Like, there was so much to that car. It really truly is a workhorse there's so many things to do, so many layouts, like it was just so much, and I felt really awesome. I felt really great just kind of being up so high and having so many different things I could do like within it. And the guy was showing me like, you know, you can fold out the center console and it becomes like a laptop desk, and you even have your own like outlet like right there. So I was like, dang, the Lightning really impressed me. I was in fact a little blown away. And the employee I was with for the Lightning, he wanted me to go ahead and just like rip it, just accelerate it, just go as fast as you can. And it was crazy to think how big of that, you know, how big of a truck that is, and it's going so fast. And it was really impressive. I really like the Lightning. It's overkill for me. I would never buy it because I would not utilize everything inside of it. But for like a working man, I would 100% recommend it. For those blue collar, I would 100% recommend it. In fact, test driving the thing, I really felt like I was about to hit up a construction site and just go back to my Mexican roots. Like literally, it was such a, like you really feel so different inside that truck. It was such a great experience. I really like the Lightning. All right, next on the list is the Lucid Air. And I mean, people might not like what I have to say about Lucid. I think it is a really cool car, probably the smoothest drive ever, and the technology is amazing. I had like a bunch of touch screens, and you can kind of interact with one thing and move it to the touch screen above it and move it back down. And you have this other touch screen that can actually, if you don't want it there, you just swipe up and it goes away and it goes inside this little slot. There was a lot of cool tech there. Again, the drivetrain, it felt very smooth, very fast. There was a lot to like, but I felt like it didn't really have a personality. Like I don't know, it just felt like there's nothing to the Lucid. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like it felt kind of empty, almost like just it's a carcass of a really cool car, and that's about it. Like there's nothing that screams, wow, this is like crazy amazing, right? I don't know, something about it just really felt empty to me. And I also don't like the shape of the touchscreens in front of you and to the middle. It was like such weirdly shaped. It almost felt like they were trying too hard to be different. Yeah, not a fan of that. And the touchscreen closest to my left, where it kind of controlled the lights and all that, it just wasn't as intuitive as I hoped when I clicked on it. And yeah, overall, really solid car. I don't know, something felt like it was missing. The Lucid employee I was with, they were very nice, and they kind of explained the whole, you know, hey, this is the ex-CEO was like, you know, one of the engineers for like a Tesla Model X or something like that, and he decided to make his own brand or whatnot. But yeah, I don't know, something felt off about like that car. And again, not to say it was a bad drive or anything like that. It was a very smooth drive, very fast. It just kind of felt like, okay, this is, you know, just an electric car. Like there was nothing that made it, or nothing that kind of gave it character or anything like that, in my opinion. And at least, again, in a 10-minute test drive, it's not like I got to look around it or anything like that. I just test drove it and then went back to a different line. So please don't get offended. This is just like my 10-minute impression. But yeah, I wasn't impressed with Lucid. Again, the car itself, very impressive as far as like how it drove and everything and how fast it went. But other than that, I just kind of felt like, okay. So let's start with the CyberTruck. That thing is literally from the future. I really enjoyed everything about it. I love the steering, steer to wire. I love the steering wheel itself. I love that when you look down, or when you look in front of you while you're in the driver's seat, the dash goes like 10 feet across. Like you have such a long dash, it's crazy. And I definitely love the single wiper blade. That thing is humongous. Every time I turned it on, it was like a surprise to me. It was just so big, and I was just like, good God. And it's just that one giant one just kind of cleaning up your whole windshield. It was crazy. Then obviously you have your normal tech from Tesla, you know, the giant iPad basically, and everything that comes with that. So obviously I've always been impressed with how amazing their OS is, and you know, how many things you can do on there. But yeah, the CyberTruck was definitely such an amazing experience, and I really fell in love with it. But it's definitely not a working man's truck. Like if I worked in construction, or if I used my truck a lot for moving a lot of things, the CyberTruck is probably the last truck I would look into. I would 100% recommend the Ford F-150 because that thing is a workhorse. The CyberTruck is more like, I don't know how to explain it. I guess more of a casual truck, more of a like, hey, look at me, I own a truck that's from the future, basically. And I'm sure, like, I'm not knocking on it. I'm sure you can use it for, you know, trucker things. I'm sure you can put like a bunch of hay in it or whatever, you know, whatever trucker things you want to do with it. I'm absolutely sure that you can do that with a CyberTruck. But as far as like, is it really made for that 100%? I don't think so. I think the Lightning, it shows more personality and more, you know, oomph. Like I'm really made for, you know, doing things. Like I'm really made for just throwing crap in the back and driving around. So I definitely felt that difference. But that's not to say that a CyberTruck is a bad truck, because that thing was so much fun to drive. It was amazing, all the tech in it, the cameras, like everything about it was amazing. It has that sprinkle of Tesla magic where it just works, and it felt great and it felt amazing. And if I had the money, I would obviously 100% buy the CyberTruck. In fact, I would buy a lot of these cars. I had a huge positive experience with the CyberTruck. And last but not least with Tesla, I also stayed in line for the refreshed Model Y. It is crazy to me that there's a refreshed Model Y, and you can even call it mid-cycle refresh, kind of like the Ioniq 5 2025 is kind of a mid-cycle, but no one is talking about it. I think that's the weirdest thing for me, because the refreshed Model Y is a million times better than the normal Model Y. You can feel it from the very start when you start driving it. You really feel it. And I felt the difference immediately. It felt so much better. The suspension felt better. It just felt like more of a solid car. And even the bumps that we drove by, like everything felt so good. I didn't feel any of it. As with the normal Model Y that I drove a few weeks ago, I felt everything. I felt like my butt was literally just dragging on the road. Like I felt everything. It just didn't feel great. It didn't feel like a premium experience or anything like that. But this refresh is so much better. It feels better. I feel like it drives better, but I could be wrong. Obviously 10 minutes, you know, you can't really say 100% that, but I felt like it drove better. So much comfier in my seat. The front camera of the Model Y also makes a huge difference. And a lot of the smaller things, right? So like from what I understood, some of the cameras have like, they were made to cover up the sun. So it kind of has like sunshade, or at least it's better in the sun, so you're not really too worried about when you're doing the self-driving or anything like that. But yeah, it was such a big difference. It's crazy to me that no one's talking about it. For me, the new gen or refresh or whatever you want to call it has so many great updates about it that I would have seriously considered just trading in my car for a Model Y, because that thing was amazing. It felt amazing. It felt really good to drive, and I was very impressed with the Model Y refresh. So let's talk about the one car that I'll never be able to afford in my life, but probably the top tier premium 100%. I would pick that over any car, over any other car. And it was the Porsche Macon or Macon? I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm assuming Macon. And it was such an incredible experience. In fact, I felt 10 inches taller when I finished my test drive. It was just smooth, luxury, everything about the drive, everything about the tech, the HoloLens or whatever that's in front of you, the projected lens in front of you while you're driving, everything. Like I cannot express how incredible it felt to drive a Porsche. Not only that, you know, a Porsche specifically, but that specific car that I drove, it just, everything was so just smooth and clean, and the UI interface was also extra clean. Everything about that car was just incredible. The whole experience, the employee I was with, the fact that we all rode together like some kind of crew. It was like all the Porsches together. It was such an amazing experience, and I totally see why they're like #1 premium, because everything just felt amazing. Nothing felt cheap. Everything felt like it just, I don't know, it just worked. I was blown away. I really felt way more confident when I walked out of that car, because I was like, wow, that was just such an experience that I really don't know how to describe it. I really don't. It was just an amazing experience, and 100% would recommend if you have the budget for a Porsche. 100% recommend that one, because that was such a great experience, and the drivetrain and how it felt over the bumps and everything like that. It was such a like legitimate, like amazing experience that changed my life. All right, last but not least, but I did test drive the Toyota BZ4X. And it's an electric car. And yeah, So I really don't know how to put this into words. Like it's an electric car. Like that's all I can really say. Like all right, cool. it definitely, if you're gonna look into that specific car, especially for the money, look at the Mach-E, look at the Model Y, look at the Ioniq 5, look at literally anything else. I would stay away from that just because it felt like it was still a gas car. It felt like they had no idea what they were doing. Now I'm not gonna like clown on them and say like, oh, the drive was awful and everything felt horrible. No, it was like it was a pretty smooth ride. It was decent, right? It was a decent ride. Just there's a million better things you can use that money for. Just wasn't a big fan. There was nothing special about it. It was just a normal EV with less, I don't know, like it didn't feel as modern. It felt like a car from maybe 10 years ago is the best way I can describe it.
My colleague is located, you see right there, there's a small dip. That's why they're taking caution when they're taking that tight curve.
Okay.
Make sure you stop for me. Be careful.
Whoop. Ooh.
Right here's fine.
Okay. Sorry about that. All right, now let's talk about e-bikes and e-scooters and dirt bikes or whatever you want to call them. So I test drove 2 normal e-bikes, 1 e-scooter, and one electric dirt bike, and 100% I'm sold on all of it. If I had money, obviously I would 100% buy one of these things. I was so blown away of how much fun they are. Just to kind of get started, let's go with the e-bike. The first e-bike I test drove or rode or whatever you want to call it, I was kind of disappointed in because they gave me a bike that was already, like the battery was pretty much like at 1%. And so I basically manually pedaled around most of my way, and I could hear like the engine just like not wanting to work anymore because of the battery being so low. And I was just like, all right, it was a cool experience, I guess. But the second e-bike I drove, that was really, really fun. It went really fast. I was still pedaling, but the pedaling felt so much easier because it was basically like an assist, and I was just flying through the course. But it was really cool. I really like the idea of the e-bike. It helps you with pedaling, and then when you don't want to pedal, you can just kind of drive it like a tiny motorcycle, but obviously not as fast. I think I was going like 15 miles per hour or so. Like, it was a really good time. I really would 100% buy e-bike once they're more affordable or once I get more money, I guess. Then the e-scooter, yeah, I haven't ridden a scooter since I was like 12. And so it was very interesting to get back on one, but I was so impressed with the motors. I think it's a dual motor scooter, and it was just so much fun to just kind of rip it. I even looked at the website for this specific e-scooter, and I really want it. I think it looks great, and it was really fun to drive. Yeah, I mean, the e-scooter was a really good experience. The e-bikes were a really good experience. And now let's talk about dirt bike. E-dirt bikes, electric dirt bikes, whatever you want to call it. They're very dangerous, but they're so much fun. So obviously sign a waiver, waited a long time to share a helmet. If you already have a helmet, you can just get on one. But obviously most of us had to share a helmet. We had one crash out right next to me. I also crashed out. So I don't know what happened, but I was just driving. And then when he told me to stop because my turn is over, I was just like, okay, and just kind of fell apart. And it was wild. It was really, really wild. But I mean, in general, the electric dirt bike was really, really fun. And I believe the guy told me they're not road legal. So I think you just have to kind of ride them wherever you ride dirt bikes, I guess in the mountains or just in grassy fields or whatnot. But they are so much fun. They are so dangerous. And once you put that thing on sports mode, oh my God, you just fly. You just shoom. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I would 100% want something similar, maybe not as dangerous. So I'll stick with my e-bike if I had one. I guess this is all just like what ifs, right? If I had my e-bike, I would stick with the e-bike for now and then later on move on to an electric dirt bike. We also test drove one golf cart. Daniel really didn't want to because he was like, dude, it's just a golf cart. But hey, we drove all the way to Florida. I'm gonna try to test drive everything I can. Test drove the golf cart, and it felt like a golf cart. So the last thing we did was the driving simulator, and it basically, you had a big chair, You sat down the big chair, you had a ginormous like widescreen monitor, and then you had the wheel with a bunch of pedals and a bunch of shifts and everything like that. That was a pretty cool experience. I don't know why I expected the chair to move a lot more than it did. It just kind of vibrated, but it didn't, well, at least I didn't feel it like it moved left or right or anything like that. I don't know why I was expecting that. Maybe that's like a whole different thing, but yeah, it was cool, I guess. I feel like, yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. Nothing too crazy. And yeah, that's pretty much everything I did. And the whole expo itself, again, it was really cool. I think the owner or the person who runs the expo, he was a really cool guy, and he was very thankful for all of us coming out there. And they gave out awards for like best modifications, best creations, best, you know, whatever. And yeah, it was a really good experience. Again, I would definitely 100% go again. However, if they're a little bit closer to North Carolina, I don't want to drive to Florida again. This is like my second time driving down there. Again, overall, it was a really good experience. I hope next year they have more manufacturers, but it sounds like they're on a rotation, or it sounds like some manufacturers decided to go and others didn't. For example, I was hearing that last year Hyundai was there, and they even had a XRT Ioniq 5 that was like, I guess, racing with the Mach-E rally or something crazy like that. And I was like, well, that sounds awesome. I wish I went to that one. But this is the first time of me hearing about this expo. There were a ton of other things, like this one guy was selling like hentai stickers, which I bought a few. And then there was another guy who rode his dirt bike and did like flips, which was really wild. And yeah, it was just a mixture of a lot of things. Anchor was there showing off their, you know, battery packs and everything like that. Well, with all that said, I'll catch you guys next week. Actually, I'm gonna finish up this video and then start my next video, but I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.